everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Pushing Forward series. And today we have with us Bryan Veliz of Slytac Training, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah.
So again, Bryan Veliz, Slytac Training, lead instructor for the company, full-time law enforcement for going on 8 years now, down in Del Rio, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, brother. So,
That sounds down south, huh?
down south on the border.
Down south. Nice.
Yeah, man. And it's been good. It's been a good journey down there. So again, 8 years full time.
Okay.
Getting ready to transition over to the part-time status. Going on maybe like half a year now.
Oh, wow.
And a little bit of everything down there. So full-time patrol, part-time SRT, regional team.
Okay.
Instructor for the training department, cadre. So they'll pull from us depending on what needs to be taught and so forth. And so that's my background really in a nutshell.
And so I take it going part-time is going to help you free up more for your company.
Yeah, so free up for teaching on my end, and then I also teach as a cadre instructor for Centrifuge Training.
Okay. What is your approach? Like, how do you prep for these roles that you've been doing in your career?
I think it really comes down to how I was kind of raised from a younger age, really.
Okay.
And then that carried me on to the career in law enforcement. And I made a promise to myself before even getting into the academy and going through the academy, and once I got out, that I didn't want to be a liability to anybody.
Okay.
Right? I wanted to make sure I stayed in shape, that I knew the law, that I could be my own sergeant, my own lieutenant, and not really have to depend on anybody, be accountable for myself. And so it was really a mindset from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
It's really having that mindset from the beginning of not being complacent and making sure that, hey, in the end, everything is my responsibility.
It's a good mindset to have, because a lot of people don't really adopt that. And I could see to where that's helped you out in your career field, because I mean, you're killing it right now. How do you stay switched on? How do you keep yourself from being complacent? Because we know running your own business, it's exhausting. It's a lot of hours. So, what are some things you do to kind of stay in the game?
Well, it's having a good environment, a good support system. One, family, friends helps a lot, quite a bit. And then making sure, because one, people are looking at me to perform, right? They're looking for standards. They're looking for me to set the precedence, especially when I'm teaching, right? So I have to dry fire, even if it's like 10 minutes a day, try to work out every other day, getting to the range, live fire work, taking classes. Even though I teach classes, I still try to take 2 to 4 classes, because one, I'm always a student first.
Sure.
And so it's also that mindset, right? Like it's not falling behind, because there's always people working. Either that's some guy out in the street or the other competitor, right? Always got to be hustling, always pushing forward.
Yeah, that's true. You got to stay sharp, because being in certain type of career fields, there's always somebody gunning for your position.
Yep.
So
Yep. Exactly.
I just remember the old military days. You gotta, man, if you slack once, somebody's gonna take your spot. So you gotta keep it up. As far as your time in law enforcement and the stuff you've been doing, what are some of the kind of challenges you faced, as far as, we've kind of brought this up, bad days in office, but sometimes that could be multiple things and culminate to one over time.
Yeah. Never been an officer involved shooting. Never want to be in. Never ever want to be in one. But as far as on the patrol aspect, we have our good days and our bad days. Yeah. And it's, especially down the border, some of the hardest things is, I'm Hispanic. And sometimes we get a lot of like, hey, you're, arresting other Hispanics and stuff like that. So that we have some of that culture bias going on down there. And so we get looked down upon because of that, right? And then we also have just the call volume and working accidents and dealing with people on their bad days. Yeah. And even when they don't want you to help, right, they'll still call us, but when you get there, we become enemies, right?
Gotcha.
And so it just really depends on the situation. And you do your best to just filter that out, do your job, because at the end of it, you're there to help, right? You're there to help, to serve and protect. We took an oath, and so you just do your best to take all the personal out of it and just stay professional as best as you can. Yeah. But it's a balance really between them both.
Yeah, I can imagine. I grew up also on a border city too, so it's just, there's some unique challenges that I'm sure you face, but different from what a city that's on more inland or anything else like that. So it's pretty interesting. When you started in the department, you started on patrol, and so now in your law enforcement career, now you're an instructor. So how did that transition happen? You started on patrol, and then you got into the instructor role.
So as far as within Texas, right, you have to put 2 years on patrol before you can qualify for any type of like basic instructor stuff. Okay. And so after my 2 years of patrol, then I put in for it. And then it was after that point, becoming an instructor and getting some teaching during the in the department a little bit, kind of really started feeling a passion for it and a drive for it. And then at that point, I'd taken quite a bit of classes outside of the department on my own time and my own dime, right? And really fell in love with training and shooting and teaching. And maybe about my 5th, 6th year in the department, I'd kind of done everything in the department that I wanted to. I didn't want to become a sergeant, an LT. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And in the divisions we had, I wasn't interested. And so I felt like I could be doing more with my life, but also with career and the knowledge and experience that I had so far.
Yeah.
And so that kind of really drove me to question, like, okay, what else can I do with this? And at the time in my area, there wasn't any training going on. Mm-hmm. And I saw how, some of the things were stagnant. And so I kind of wanted to improve that. I felt kind of called to that too, just kind of how I felt called to law enforcement. Yeah. And so I felt called to teaching aspects. So I looked into it and did a lot of research and training. And eventually that's how I jumped in on my own side, really.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and so starting your own company, and also too, you're an adjunct instructor for Centrifuge Training, owned by Will Petty. So how did that relationship start?
Oh man, that started back in 2016, and I took a VCQB instructor with him back in 2016. Did
he fall in love with the hair?
No, I had short hair at that time. I was clean cut at that time.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But it was 2016, and it was around that time that I was really looking to starting my own company.
Okay.
And took the class, and I just kind of picked his head like, hey, what goes into starting your own company? Because at the time, there's really nothing online, and what I could find, there wasn't any resources to help me out. Because we're looking at liability, insurance, and all that stuff that goes into starting your own company, as you know, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of administrative stuff you don't realize, and that's so much stuff on the back end. So.
And so I had no idea where to start, but taking the class and then bringing that program back to the department, and then just staying in contact with him from there. And then took low light instructor maybe a couple of months after that. And eventually he was going to come back down to kind of in my area. And so I reached out to him like, hey man, do you mind if I just come help out, like help you shag targets, staple, whatever you need, right? Like I'm not looking to get paid. I just want to get out here to get some experience. And he was more than willing. He was like, yeah man, just get out here. You got room. You got a room. He's got a bed for me in the room. So.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Will. He's very encouraging for other people out there, and that's awesome. There's not a lot of people out there who just are so open like that, and plus it shows a lot too that you don't care about money, you just want the experience. So that's awesome.
I just wanted the knowledge and experience and the reps of teaching. Teaching outside of a department, whether it's an open enrollment or even an LE only class. It's very different teaching when you're teaching outside of your department, because sometimes classes are just mandated, and sometimes guys are have to be there. Some guys want to be there and some guys don't. But it's always a different animal teaching outside of the department.
I can imagine.
But he took me under his wing, right? And from that day forward, anytime he was around or I could make it, I'd go and help out, teach, just get experience, getting reps, getting knowledge of the VCQB program, the material. And so that really helped me within his programs, but also within teaching experience for myself at my company. Yeah. And he's been a great mentor to me, and I'm very thankful.
Yeah, it's that part of that journey, because I'm sure he's had a lot of people come through and say, I want to help, and then when they realize it's work, and we experience that a little bit here when people say, I want to build guns, your job's so awesome, like, it's work. And then we've had people try it out, and it's work, it's hard work, and you got to stick with it, so that's awesome. We commend you on that, and Will's a really good guy, he's been a long time friend, so it's pretty awesome that he's a good mentor to you. So
yeah, he has been. And there's a little thing we like to say, everybody wants to be instructor until it's time to do instructor stuff, right? And so that's waking up early, setting up ranges, moving vehicles, travel, like everything that goes into being an instructor. There's a lot, and most people think it's just shooting, but it's not.
No, it's not. I mean, sometimes you finish off the range, you got to pack up and haul ass to another location or get ready for another, training course. So it's tough work. I mean, all that stuff on the road, man. I commend you guys. So I'm over here complaining about building guns, but you guys are always on the move, so it's good stuff. It's something that it's been brought up, and also Centrifuge promotes it too, is that performance on demand. So what does that mean?
Performance on demand, right? So that can relate to from real world environment, right? From patrol aspect to out there in the field, to on the range, whether it's a qual or during a course of fire.
Yeah.
Performance on demand is basically bringing everything you have, giving your 100% even when you don't feel like it. Maybe you're at a 40% level because you're tired, maybe you slept in or you didn't get your coffee for the day, but when universe calls for you, when it's your time, you have to be able to bring it every time.
Yeah, true. Because there's no set time.
There's
It
no
just
set
happen
time.
at any moment.
Yeah, so whatever equipment or gear you have, and if you have reps on it, good, right? If not, then you need to get those reps and make sure you're able to perform on demand. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty real in the sense of your line of work and all the data that you obviously video you watch or stats reported. I mean, there's no time to prep.
No.
So
No. There's no warm up, right? There's no redos. There's no retakes. It's just performance on demand.
Yeah. I like that. It's pretty powerful. Looking back to when you started, what were some of the things that you wish some like pregame knowledge you wish you would have had? Kind of looking back, what would be something like that?
Pregame knowledge, I would say, it's kind of a hard one. It's a good question, really.
Yeah.
I would say make sure to listen to the veterans, right? Make sure to listen to them because they've been there a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Not that I ignore them or is arrogant, but sometimes you're just like, you're like, I know, right? Or I know, right? Especially because you just got out of the academy or something like that. Yeah. But be open-minded. Make sure you're listening. They've paid their dues, and I would say for sure that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good advice. And you gotta always listen to the old guys. I mean, sometimes there's good, sometimes there's bad advice, but for the most part, that's for you to decide. So
yeah, it's like when we teach classes, we say stay open-minded, right? So it's the same thing, right?
That's a good one. Yeah, right there. Another thing we've talked about, in the past is how important is physical fitness to you, and how do you maintain that level, your level of physical fitness when you're always, on the road, traveling, teaching courses, things like that. Because I know there's not a really gym everywhere you go, and those hotel gyms suck. So, so what are some of the things you do? Because we've discussed this before, how important it is.
It's very important, right? From the patrol aspect to teaching aspect, and just to have a healthy living, right? I started off at 220, and maybe before the academy or something like that. Yeah. And then I cut down all the way to 165.
Wow.
And so work, right? So diet, a lot of hard work, making no excuses. Cut down to 165, and then eventually bulked up to like 190-ish, and then now I'm like at 180 something, right? But it's very important from patrol aspect because, one, you have to be able to handle your own, right? You don't want to be a liability, and so you have to be able to function and hold your own, and that comes back to everything's your responsibility, right? Not being a liability to yourself, to your family, to the people who you swore an oath to, and to your department. So it's a big thing. That was always a big thing for me, and still is, and always should be, as long as you're wearing that badge and that uniform, right? Even if you're not, you should still be. And then, of course, it plays a big role within the training aspect, because if I'm doing demos, I don't want to be out there struggling during demos, right? I don't want to ride the struggle bus. And so it's very, very important from the aspect of the training, because if I'm asking guys to do certain things, I need to be able to demo that and do it on demand every time. And not like, hey, I can only do it once and that's it. Like, no, that's not cool. And then for your family wise, like, I want to be around for my family, so it's very, very important for me. Yeah.
So some of the stuff too, I know, like I said, there's not really everywhere you travel to, because I know you travel all over the country, and there's necessarily not a gym, and it's not like coming over here and I'm dragging you out to the gym. But what are some of the stuff you do as far as like, you get to your hotel, I know I'm the same way. I'm telling myself I'm gonna work out every day when I'm here, but realistically it's like half the time. So what do you do as far as, just go for a run, or certain things you do, or what are some? So
depending on what the hotel has, if they have something decent, I'll hit the hotel gym. If not, I'll just do some body weight workout. Push-ups, burpees, something that's a little bit of high intensity intervals.
Gotcha.
Just something for the day versus nothing for the day.
True.
Right, and it also depends like what I did on the range that day, because that's also can be quite a bit of a workout depending on the program itself. So I'll use that, and then also just something within body weight movement if there's no weights.
See, I like that. Just doing something rather than nothing. So as you know, being part of the TRIARC family, we love having you part of it, and as you know, we have that mantra, pushing forward, and everybody takes that and adapts it to their own way of their everyday life. So how do you do that? What does pushing forward mean to you?
For me, it's really just adapting, evolving, and pushing forward, not staying stagnant within your training, within programs themselves. Like always making sure to look at data that's out there, ready, available. And data helps to drive training. So if we're always doing it the way we've always doing it, we're falling behind. So making sure that we're looking at data, we're adapting, we're evolving, we're improving, and not becoming complacent.
Yeah, I know those are. You're right, absolutely right on the data. I mean, it's always changing. New stats are constantly coming in, and it'd be, what do you call that? Very detrimental not to ignore that stuff. So and we do the same thing as far as same thing with weapons. You're always looking at the data and make changes. So that's awesome. Being more a little bit in that veteran role on the law enforcement side. So if somebody wanted to, go more along those lines, join law enforcement pursue it as a career, or follow something similar to the path you are. We're in also to the unique challenges you have being so close to the border. What was some advice you'd give the future law enforcement officer?
Yeah. So I started getting in, I think 2011, 2012. I would say that do not quit, because the first times I applied, I failed the entrance exam twice, and then eventually I did pass. Right, go through the background process. Big thing is don't quit. Sometimes you'll feel like you get down on yourself. Don't quit. If that's what you really want, then keep working for it. In the meantime, do your best to get in shape, get ready for the academy. Some academies are 4 months, 6 months, or even longer. It just depends. And for me, really, I had that mindset of just, all right, let's stay in shape. Let's try to get in shape right before the academy. And then during the academy, as for me, wasn't in a relationship, just had my family there, but that's all I focused on was the academy itself. So everything else was just not essential at that moment.
Gotcha.
So studying, reading, working out, doing what you need to during the academy was everything for me, right? That was life, because I needed to pass.
Gotcha.
So I would say stay focused to it. I didn't go party on the weekends. They called me the book nerd, right?
Yeah, the book nerd.
All I did was study, right?
Well, it's very important to you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's good that you did that, because it shows level of dedication. And obviously you're here now. I mean, doing well. You're, pushing forward in the sense, just always, we see you growing constantly, which is awesome. We like seeing that. So your mentality right there is just paying off. So it's good stuff.
So that, and then once you get out of the academy, listen to your FTO, stay open-minded, right, work hard, same thing, devote everything you have during the FTO process, which is the Field Training Officer Program.
Okay.
And that's kind of like the second academy. That way you make sure you're good to go before you go solo on the streets.
Gotcha.
So make sure you listen to your FTO, work hard. And then after that, get training, right? Get training in the department, and then get training outside the department. That way you're going to be well-rounded, and then just continue to train, continue to work hard, and
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
Coming to the shop, hanging out. It's always good to have Bryan here. He's just like a positive guy to be around. Always helps us out in the shop. So it's always good when you visit. He brings donuts too.
Donuts.
So that's another reason why we like having him here. But for the most part, Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything you do on your side, and plus also supporting the company. It means a lot to us. And so next time we'll go ahead and hit the range and get a gear breakdown.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks, brother.